Namaste teachers, welcome back to VinMaths. In this video, I am going to discuss the syllabus for the paper 2, that is for the classes of 6 to 8 higher primary sections. Syllabus and its first section, that is CDP, Child Development and Pedagogy. In this child development and pedagogy, we have to study for the level of elementary school children. In this section, you have to prepare for the concept of development, its relationship with the learning, principles of development of our children, influence of heredity, environment, socialization process, social world and children, teacher, parent and peers. Along with that, you have to go for the concept of Paget, Kolsberg, Vygotsky, constructs and critical perspectives according to these three theories. Next point you have to cover concept of children-centered and progressive education, critical perspective of the construct of intelligence, multi-dimensional intelligence, language, thought, gender as a social construct, gender rules, gender bias, educational practice. Individual differences among the children, understanding differences based on the diversity of the language, caste, gender, community, religion, and etc. Distinction between assessment for learning, assessment of learning, school-based assessment, continuous and comprehensive evaluation, perspective and practice, formulating appropriate questions for the assessing readiness levels of the learners, for enhancing learning and critical thinking in the classroom, and for assessing learner achievement. Next is about child development, concept of inclusive education. Concept of inclusive education meaning understanding children with special needs questions, addressing learners from diverse backgrounds including disadvantaged and deprived, addressing the needs of the children with learning difficulties, impairment, etc., addressing the talented, creative, specially abled children's. This all the concept will come in the inclusive education practice. After that, we have the section C of the CDP, that is learning and pedagogy. In this learning and pedagogy, you have to cover how children think, learn, how and why children fail to achieve the success in school performance. Along with that, basic progress or process of the teaching and learning, children, strategies of learning, learning as a social activity, social context of learning. Next is child as a problem solver, scientific investigator, alternative conceptions of learning in children, understanding children errors as a significant steps to learning and process. Cognition and emotions, motivation and learning, factors contributing to learning, personal environment. These are the concepts which we have to prepare for CDP for section C, that is learning and pedagogy. Next, we are going to discuss the syllabus of the language one, that you can opt it as Kannada or English, or you can opt it as Hindi also. For first, language comprehension. In this language comprehension, you will find reading unseen passages, two passages. Out of that, one will be prose or drama and another one will be a poem with questions on comprehension, inference, grammar, verbal ability. Prose passage may be literary, scientific, narrative and discursive. Next, pedagogy of the language development. In this pedagogy of the language development, you have to cover learning acquisition, principles of language teaching, role of listening and speaking. Along with that, function of a language, how children use it as a tool, critical perspective on the role of the grammar in learning language for communicating ideas verbally as well as in written form. Challenges of a teaching language in diverse classroom, language difficulties, errors and disorders, language skills, evaluating language comprehension and proficiency, speaking, learning, reading and writing, teaching learning materials. Related questions you will get that will be based on the textbook, multimedia materials, multilingual resources for classroom, and last, remedial teaching. So these are the concept you have to prepare for the language one. Same way we will get the syllabus for the language 2 again as a comprehension. In this comprehension you will get two unseen prose passage with questions on comprehension, grammar and verbal ability. Related to the paper 2, you have to prepare for the pedagogy of the language development, that is learning acquisition, principles of language teaching, role of listening and speaking, function of language and how children use it as a tool, critical perspective on role of the grammar in English language for communicating ideas verbally and written form. Next one is about the challenges of a teaching language in diverse classroom, language difficulties, errors, disorders, challenges of teaching language in diverse classroom, language difficulties, errors and disorders. After completion of this, you will get a questions on evaluation or assessment, that is evaluating language comprehension proficiency, that is speaking, learning, reading and writing, teaching learning materials. That related questions we will get, those are textbook, multimedia materials, multilingual resources of classroom and remedial teaching. These are the concepts which are going to come for the language 2 for the paper 2. After once you finish this general concepts like CDP, language 1, language 2, then you will get the specific subject syllabus. That science teachers has to cover maths and science, whereas arts teachers has to cover social. In maths, you have to prepare for the number system, knowing our numbers, playing with numbers, whole numbers, negative numbers, integers, fractions, introduction to algebra, ratio, proportion, basic geometrical ideas, understanding elementary shapes, symmetry, construction, using straight edge scale, protractor and compasses, mensuration and data handling. These are the concepts you have to study it in maths according to the grade of 8th to 10th. Now, relating to the maths, you will get a pedagogical questions or pedagogy questions. In that, you have to prepare for nature of mathematics, logical thinking, how it will work in maths, place of a mathematics in curriculum, language of mathematics, community mathematics, evaluating remedial teaching, problem of teaching. After that, second subject will be for the science teachers will be science. In this science, again you have to prepare or to go through the NCERT books of 8th to 10th. The content of the science will be food, sources of a food, components of a food, materials of daily use, the world of living, moving things, how things work, electric current, circuits, magnets, natural phenomena, natural resources. Relating to the science, you will get the questions of a pedagogy, that is nature and structure of a science, natural science or aims and objectives, understanding, appreciating science, approaches and integrated approach, observation, experiment, discovery, innovation, text material, aids, evaluations, problems and remedial teaching. This is the content of the maths and science. So you have to go through that. So next one is the optional subject, that is a social studies. In this social studies you will get a content as history, when, where, how, the earliest societies, the first cities, early states, new ideas, the first empire, contacts with distant lands, political developments, culture, science, new kings and kingdoms, sultans of Delhi, architecture, creation of an empire, social challenge, regional cultures, the establishment of company power, rural life and society, colonialism and tribal societies, the revolt of 1857-58, women and reform, challenging the caste system, nationalist movement, India after independence. Once you finish this, next will be about the geography. In this geography, you have to prepare for geography as a social study, as a science, planet Earth in the solar system, globe environment in its totality, natural and human environment, air, water, human environment, settlement, transport and communications, resources, types of natural and human agriculture. After that, political life, or we used to say social and political life. In that, you have to cover for diversity, government, local government, making living, democracy, state government, understanding media, unpacking gender, the constitution, parliamentary government, the judiciary, social justice, and the marginalized. Relating to the social studies, you will get a pedagogy questions, that is concept and nature of social science or social studies, classroom process, activities, discourses, developing critical thinking, inquiry or evidence, problems of teaching social science, sources, primary and secondary, project work, evaluation. So this is all about the syllabus of the paper 2. I hope I have cleared all the concept of the paper 2. For paper 1 syllabus, you can watch my previous video. In upcoming video, I am going to discuss the books you have to read for the KAR TET. So that video I am going to make. Please do subscribe my channel, and thank you very much for your supports. And last, don't forget to share.